Welcome back, crew. I know it's been a little while. I apologize for the delay. Got the flu right after filming the episode for the Power Rangers, the game of the month for April, and just was down for the count for a couple weeks, but feeling better, feeling back, and wanted to get into the review for the Mighty Morph, or just the Power Rangers RPG system, which we played the Mighty Morphin era with my crew. Unfortunately, we streamed it, but we had a little bit of technical difficulties on the audio, so that we won't be able to post the stream for that one. But definitely take my word on it. Me and my crew had a blast on it. My table got to run through it, get some of the usual Mighty Morphin hijinks on, fighting some putties before getting morphed, and fighting one of Rita Repulsa's vicious monsters, the Hypno Beast. And if you haven't seen the video on making the Hypno Beast, check that out. It was a blast to run, and we put the link in there too for the GM binder of it, so you can go run it with your crew too, in case you want to get some Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on and hypnotize your players a bit. But overall, today I just wanted to wrap it up with the Power Rangers and kind of send them off a little bit of the review over my thoughts overall for the system and some of my players' thoughts too on that side. Just so we see what we thought from it, what we took away from the system, and maybe kind of run it for your crew too with a little bit of enlightened advice, hopefully. But before we get into it, so the kind of way I'm going to do these reviews, and I got this stole it from Not Another D&D podcast. I think they stole it too. But we're going to call it the Roses and Thorns. With roses being things we really liked about it, thorns being some things that may have just not flown with us the best. So let's dive into it. So first rose, and this is something I'm actually could be probably stealing for other games that are not using the Power Rangers system. I love the dice system. I probably won't be stealing the whole thing for it, but the dice system with having different things that can slide you up a sliding scale of dice. So we went through this in one of our other videos. If you haven't seen it, it's a real quick overview of it. But basically, within your regular skills, you start off with a certain dice if you put skill points in there. So if you start off rolling just a flat or a d20 with disadvantage, but if you put skill points in, you'd have a d2, d4, depending on how many points you put in. But even without using that system for the skills, I like having a sliding dice so you can kind of give to the players depending on how they set themselves up. If they put themselves in a really advantageous position, you can give them some extra dice, or if they kind of set themselves up and it's not going to look so great for them, you can minus them, have them roll some extra dice and minus them. The thing I loved about it is I like rolling a lot of dice, and this lets you roll a lot of dice. And this is something I haven't formalized how I'll roll it, but this is something I maybe steal from my 5e and my even my Mutants and Masterminds tables, because this is just a cool thing. People like rolling dice, or at least I like rolling dice, and this can be a good way to give them something without giving them advantage. So if your players did something really cool, set themselves up really well, you could say, hey, roll add a d4 to your roll. Give a little bit bonus there. If they did really well, hey, add a d12 to your roll. Depending on how high you go up, the d12s can be a little bit more advantageous than advantage. So something even you could add on there too, just to give it a little bit extra fun. But I like rolling dice. I feel like my players like rolling dice, so that's something I'm going to be stealing for the game as a whole, and I enjoyed that. So that's my first rose. Kind of along that side a little bit. I wouldn't say this is the biggest Thor. This is just I need to get a little bit more used to the system. Setting DCs without modifiers, because the system doesn't have modifiers. It just has those dice. So whatever the dice come up with are going to be the rolls, was a little bit challenging. I would say I think it's just that I need to get more of a feel of, but that was something I was like struggling with. I wanted to make DCs that were challenging but not too hard, and I was just still getting the flow of it because it's just a little bit more random than I'm used to. Because the modifiers and averages with typical 5-year Mutants and Masterminds, it just adds up a little easier. But overall, still love that system, and especially that sliding scale. You may see that if you watch my channel, my Twitch channel, T&J Gaming, you probably see that again because I liked it. Other roses, I should say. I loved how they did the Zords system. If you watched us live on the stream, unfortunately we weren't able to get into Zords just due to timing, but I felt like they did a really good job with that, making it feel like Zords, but still feel like the ground game enough to make it simplistic. And kind of not simplistic, I should say, easy to pick up and run with without having to learn a whole new system. For those of you guys that follow me on Dungeon Jedi Masters and my work on Star Wars 5e, you know that the starships phenomenal, great system, but it is a whole nother system. So I did like how they use Zords. They got a lot of the same configurations as the ground game, just to make it easy, quick to pick up, not a whole nother thing to learn. So that was definitely a rose for me. Another good rose, and this one I probably talked about this one a little bit too much. I loved how they did the artwork. I feel like it was made from like '90s kids like me who grew up on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and the artists like they knocked it out of the park. That was just, it was really cool to see. I like it. I wish I knew how good the artwork was before I bought the PDF version, because I would have definitely bought the hardcover of that one just to get soak that in a little bit more. But definitely, if you guys are on the fence about buying the hardcover versus the PDF, get that hardcover, enjoy the art, especially if you grew up on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You'll love it. Now, I will say this is good. It was a rose for me, but it may be a thorn if you didn't grow up on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They did kind of focus a little bit on both the artwork and some of the roles and other things. They focused on that era because it's probably geeks like me who are going to be picking up the book and have the money for it. But if you grew up on some of the later eras, they definitely had some artwork that reflected it, but it wasn't the main goal or the main focus, I'll say. But that was a rose for me. It may be a thorn for some of you from different eras or younger or older, whoever that may work for you. But overall, check out the artwork. Gorgeous, even if you are a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger fan. The other big one, kind of going along with that too, is I like how they made the roles kind of fit. The lore is that classic Mighty Morphin Power Ranger team. Like the Green Ranger, the Red Ranger, all the Rangers felt like they fit. The classic lineup, I should say, with Jason, Trini, Tommy, and all of them. It gave them cool abilities and things that really reflected that, and kind of made the lore fit the mechanics, and I liked that because sometimes the mechanics can feel like they exist in a vacuum or just not really fitting with what you're kind of what the lore is supposed to be or what you remember it. This they did it, they nailed it, and made each role feel unique. Kind of their spectrum on or their color on the spectrum, but definitely made them feel kind of like what you expect from the lore. So I like that. Definitely another rose for me. The other thing too, and this is going to be my last rose on this side, I loved how active the community was and how welcoming the community was. I was on their Discord, and I'll put a link to the Discord too if you're interested in kind of seeing this community and kind of being a part of it. They were super friendly, super welcoming. I had a lot of questions, both good and dumb, and they all answered it, and just kind of made me feel welcome on that side and gave me some great information that I was able to include in the video. So shout outs to you guys if any of you are watching. I appreciate it, and you guys just really opened the doors and just helped out tremendously with planning this one shot and helping out for the game of the month. So appreciate that too. But I really want to give a big shout out to Brian. He's the writer of this system. He's super friendly. He's like, and that's one of the things, I said an active community, but Brian, the writer, is actually super active in the community. Like a lot of times, like other systems, you don't really get to interact with the writer as much at all. But he's there, I think, every day at 9 or 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, answering questions. And he's there every weekday, going in, hanging with the community, answering questions, just kind of just chilling out. And another big shout out, he actually came and joined us for the one shot too. So we really appreciate that, Brian. And for anybody that's all that fits on this side, I'll say that's probably the most direct interaction I've had with a writer of a system. So outside of Star Wars 5e, so go check that out. Brian's awesome. The community's awesome. There'll be a link in the description for the Discord. They're just amazing. Definitely one of the most welcoming TTRPG communities I've come across. So I love that. That was one of my biggest roses, I'll say, for the system as a whole too. Just because sometimes you get in there and you ask questions and people don't want to answer you. They'll say it's all this page, and even if the page may not be super clear, and they were welcoming. Even with some of my silly questions, I probably could have figured out. They helped me out on that side, and I really appreciated that. So I do have one thorn. This one, community definitely made up for, but sometimes, and this is maybe me being a little slow, sometimes some of the things in the book's really well written, but sometimes it may be like a little hard to follow, and some of the different abilities and how they interact. But the community definitely helped me out with some of those times I got a little confused, or my players may have had a question I couldn't solve. They put it in the Discord, and they'd either link me to something that's already been answered or help me kind of walk through it too. So definitely a small thorn on that side, but if you use the Discord, you can definitely kind of remove that thorn and make it a little bit easier, both on you and your table if you're looking to run it. So those are overall, those kept my feel of the system. Asking my players afterwards for some feedback or what they thought. They kind of mirrored my own. My players love the dice stuff, which is definitely why we'll probably integrate that into some of our other things too. With just the sliding dice scales of adding some extra dice versus advantage and disadvantage sometimes. So that's going to be coming more, and I may write something up for that too. So if I do write something up, I'll throw that in here, and definitely shout out probably came from the Power Rangers inspiration system too before kind of tweaking it for like either 5e or maybe Mutants and Masterminds too. So that was cool. Definitely a system I recommend, especially if you grew up in the Power Rangers. This is like nostalgia in a bottle with a great system to back it up. Sometimes you get some of those nostalgia grabs. The systems is just you can definitely tell they wrote it quickly to get a payday. These guys they put some love, they put some heart into it. And it's definitely worth checking out for your crew. Nice thing too is they've got some cool expansions coming up too, so definitely looking forward to see that. That's one of the big ones too. Is hopefully they'll bring some more monsters in it. I saw that's on their docket. That's a small thorn. Is they didn't have a ton of monsters, but they did release some rules to help you build your own monsters too, which help make that a little bit easier. But overall, so outside of the roses and thorns, I'd highly encourage you to pick up this system. It's cool, it's fun, gorgeous artwork, and some cool mechanics behind it too. It could definitely be a fun way to get your morphin on with your players. So I like it. Definitely one of the things too. I haven't thought about when we'll bring it back, but a lot of these one shots after going through kind of like the game of the months and learning them and learning the ins and outs of them. Kind of, I want to kind of keep using that knowledge. So there'll probably be another Power Rangers one shot. Keep an eye out for that on my Discord, or sorry, not my Discord, on my Twitch or Twitter if you follow me there. I'll definitely announce that, especially since the recording got lost due to technical errors and some of my errors on that side using it due to new recording systems. So stay tuned. We'll definitely do another one on that side. But overall, love the system. And both May already here, guys. It's time to look forward a little bit. So, our May game of the month is going to be the Coyote and Crow system by a Coyote and Crow company. So, this, if you haven't heard of it, pretty sick looking game. Their book just came out to Amazon and other gaming stores near you, late April, so very recently. And basically, what it is, it's a tabletop RPG. It's kind of with the setting being North American, the continent of North America, but it's got a interesting look. It's North America if it never been colonized. So it's made up of indigenous people. It's a sci-fi, or like I say, sci-fantasy type game. So you get a little bit of like a post-apocalyptic. There's a big cataclysm that had happened that kind of makes up the landscape and makes it a little bit more diverse. But with that, you also get some cool looks too at the indigenous culture and lore, and they've got some magic mixing it up and making a little bit of a more mythological feel to the sci-fi. And you guys, if you followed me on Dungeon Jedi Masters, you know that I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm actually rocking my R2D t-shirt today. I'm a huge fantasy fan. I love science fiction, but I love when you put a little bit of magic into it. The Force or the indigenous magic from this game with the Coyote and Crow. So I'm super looking forward to this one, especially with the interesting cultural aspect as well. So this is going to be our game of the month. We're going to dive into it. So similar to what we did with Power Rangers, we're going to take a look at first impressions of the system. Check us out next Sunday for that. We're going to take a look too at how to build a PC player character using this system. We're going to walk you through that as well. I'm running the actual adventure in the book this time, but I'm still going to make my own monster using the system. I like making monsters, and that's one of the ways I feel like I learned the systems about the combat. So we're going to make our own monster with it too. And then finally, May 31st, we're going to do a live stream of our game Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with me and my players running the Coyote and Crow adventure system. So come join us. We're going to give away another copy or give away a copy of the game book, the PDF for Coyote and Crow RPG. So come join us. You may be a lucky winner on that side, like Atlas last time. We'll have to shout out to him. Come through. Follow me on Twitch, follow us on Twitter, and get to dive in with us as we look at this pretty unique system. So I'm looking forward to it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, drop a subscribe to us. We're always going to be doing games of the month like this and some cool, unique content just to broaden your horizon on different TTRPGs that are in the space that are not named 5e. So come with us. And this is a journey for myself too, because I wanted to get myself out of that 5e bubble, and maybe you can come with me on that side too. So just said, drop a like, drop a subscribe, and also join me and my crew Tuesday. We're running a Mutants and Masterminds adventure. So it's an Arcadia, real Silver Age style town. So come with us, hang out with me and the crew, and get to see some shenanigans afoot. So overall, thank you guys for joining us. Check out Power Rangers, get your morphin on, and have a regular rest of the day.